I'm Christine Escobar, mother of 4, raised in Boyle Heights. This podcast will not just help empower women, but help them find that inner confidence, fierceness, motivation, and path towards success. Whether it's life, relationships, business, or a push forward, together let's get inspired. This is Así o Más Claro with Christine Escobar. Hello everyone, here's Christine coming to you from the city of Pasadena. We're actually at our Pasadena branch, and I have a very, very special guest, my one and only husband, Mr. Willy Escobar.
Hello.
I'm super excited to have you here. It's about time.
It's about time you invite me.
He's been on the tentative schedule, by the way, but he's so busy that we finally got to get him to come in. So if you guys have any questions, I just saw that he's live, so I'm going to get started. I wanted to bring him on because I feel it's important to not only value where we're at, but to share, how we got here and having the role of leadership together and be business partners besides having a marriage partnership.
That's right. I'm excited to be here. And by the way, I am live. If you guys want to post some questions here, man, just go for it. One thing that me and my wife are all about is being transparent. We're going to share with you what has worked, what didn't work, and perhaps some advice for some of you guys that are either in relationships and you need your spouse to support you, or perhaps you're like, man, I don't even want to be in a relationship, right? Because I'm on my way up. I don't want anyone to get in the way. So therefore, I'm going to stay single.
No, we're not talking about that right now.
Oh, we're not talking about that?
No.
Then what are we talking about?
We're talking about what leadership means to us together, mm-hmm. and how it is having your spouse as a business partner, and how that trickles down to what we do on a daily basis.
Okay. I'm ready.
You ready? Okay.
Let's go.
Okay.
Let's go.
Okay, so, I know you asked me before, a few years ago, if I would leave my career to join you, and it was really hard for me. What are you doing?
Oh, just...
Okay, my attendee is leaving. Anyway, what made you take that risk? Because it was not only a risk just for me, but it was a risk for you. I think probably more of a risk for you than it was for me.
Yeah, so here, let me set myself up. I believe that when we feel good about something, we need to go all in. All in.
Okay.
Hold on. Sorry, I'm setting myself up. Well, now, why is it important to go all in? It's because I believe we all have certain gifts. We all have certain gifts, and when we're feeling good about something, it's because something in us is telling us, Willie, go for it. All right. When I told you to leave your job, it's because I was already having faith in myself. I believe that I could create some incredible things. And it's also because I had people around me telling me, Willie, go for it, man. Mm-hmm. I remember I was at a seminar, actually not too far from here in La Quinta, and a good friend of mine, I haven't talked to him in a while, but maybe I should reach out. A good friend of mine, Manny, he's like, Willie, what's your goal this year? And I told him $500,000. He's like, oh man, that's great, bro. And what, does your wife work? Yeah, she works. He's like, bro, it doesn't make sense, man. How is it that you want to make $500,000 yet your wife is still working, yet she's not spending enough time with you, with the kids? And it got me thinking. That just doesn't make sense. And that's when I really started telling you got to quit your job. Because I've always been a risk taker. I think that when we take risks, that is when we truly shine.
Well, besides you taking a risk, right? Someone gave you the idea and you thought it makes sense. But I don't think everyone's cut out for that. What made you think you obviously thought I was cut out to partner with you or to come along with you. Like, what was it? That was another chance you were taking?
I believed in myself at the time more than I believed that, how should I put this? I believed in myself more than I believed in you. Okay? So this is what I mean by that. Sounds a little harsh.
That was not the question.
All right, but wait a minute. All right, this is what I mean. I believe that I knew if you quit your job, we would be fine.
Okay.
I wasn't too worried about, okay, like, is she gonna help me with the office? Is she going to help me make some money? I wasn't worried about that. I was 100% sold out that I had what it took for us to be fine.
Okay. So it had nothing to do with you thinking I was not good enough, but that I would bring value into.
Quite honestly, I wasn't focused on what was the value that you would bring. I just wanted you and the kids to have a better life. That was it.
Okay. Well, has that changed now?
Well, absolutely.
Okay.
You're here, right?
Okay. Explain to the audience why that brings value, not only to you as a person, right, but as a businessman.
All right. So how can a spouse bring value to a business? Let's say my wife, what is the value that she brings to me? Is that, I would say the biggest value is that you believe in me. That is number one. The rest is kind of like, the cherry on top. So by your spouse believing in you, by my wife believing in me, I'm like, man, I have no limits. Like, I truly believe when your spouse does not believe in you, you can go at about 25 to 50%, if that. When your spouse believes in you, not only you can go 100%, you could go 200%. Remember Elena Cardone said that one time? Yeah.
Does that give you more, is it confidence? I mean, in your case, I don't think, because I think you're confident.
It's kind of like permission in a way.
I like that. So
right?
You needed my permission.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Because
are you guys hearing this?
when your wife says, man, you go out and do your thing, you create, I believe in you, you're like, oh shit. Right? It's like I don't have a leash anymore. Okay? Like, that's super important.
Okay.
Very, very important. For those of you that are in relationships, if your spouse is holding you back, you have a few options. Option number one is have your spouse buy into you.
Well, let's
hold on.
Okay.
All right. Next one is you have to make sure that your spouse is aware what kind of mission that you're on.
Right.
And if you tried number one, if you tried number two, and you've been doing this years and years and years, and man, you're like, if anything, my spouse is holding me back, you might have to find a new spouse.
Well, let's talk about that, because I disagree. I think it starts with the buy-in to you, right? You said there was two things. So I think the other person has a lot to play into this. As an example, knowing what we went through, what could you have changed? Because you could have, to have me buy into it, honestly. Results. You could have had more results, right? And you could have explained it in a different way. Okay, so let's go backwards a little bit. I want the audience also to understand, because when you say it like that, yes, it's raw, but I think there's steps to
keeping it real.
There's steps to getting there, right? So let's talk about that. So buying into you. So what can we let people know? How can you have your spouse buy into you? Yeah. Of course, by your way of being, by showing results. Like, what are the do's and don'ts in the buying in? Because I'm sure you regret some of those buying ins, or we could have changed them.
I think the number one thing that a woman is looking for is results.
Okay.
Right? And I wasn't coming through with results. I was depressed. I was going through all kinds of stuff. Mentally, I was just, I didn't want to talk to anyone. I mean, no one. Right? Because I went through the market crash. I was, you could say, on top of the world, just like a lot of people were before the market crash. And when the market crashed, I was like, holy shit. I felt like I was a nobody. So it was really hard to come through. It was really hard to believe in myself and create results. But back to what you're saying, I think that most women, not all women, but most women, they just want you to like stop the story and show me the results. And in our case, it was financial.
Right. I also think that the buying in, right? I think what would be more, how can I say it? Enticing would be if the buying in comes in after you did buying in with yourself too, like passing the depression, believing in yourself, because it's a negative with a negative. I don't think it would work. So I personally feel that the buying in comes in after.
Yeah. So what you said is true. Is I had to buy into myself.
Yes.
I hadn't bought into myself. I didn't believe in myself. Therefore, I was telling you, honey, this is going to be our year. When I didn't believe it. I didn't believe it, right? Because I had like zero confidence, guys, like zero confidence. But, and I want to say the zero confidence came also because I was broke as hell. I couldn't afford a haircut. I couldn't afford to put food on the table. We were on government assistance, so I didn't believe in myself at all. So when I was telling you, this is going to be our year, I wasn't believing that until I hit rock bottom, that one day I just got real with myself and I was like, man, this is not you. This is not you, because I had always been fine financially, always. And one day I was like, of course, I went through almost wanting to commit suicide, and that was my rock bottom. I was like, wait a minute, you're about to jump off a cliff just because of two main reasons. One being I was having issues with my wife, and two is you're broke. I was like, wait a minute, that's not even a big deal, because there's someone, and I remember walking away from that cliff, and I remember saying this, someone somewhere around the world would be grateful to have my issues. And that's when I was like, man, you're being a big freaking wimp about to do this. And that's when our life changed. And I remember I went home to my wife and I told her, we will never be broke again. And we've never been broke.
I'll never forget that day. You actually got on your knees. You always forget that part, but you got on your knees.
I think I tripped and fell on my knees.
No, you didn't. It was a very emotional moment that I'll remember forever. So thank you for that. I think, there's, in a relationship, there's going to be many struggles, right? And financial struggles is one of the biggest ones. I think it's important to let people know that message, because besides being broke and having financial issues comes resentment. And to me, that's rock bottom, right? I think it's overcoming that together. And what can we say to help people not get to that point?
And it's just, I think the hardest thing is when you don't believe in yourself. I didn't believe in myself, but I really wasn't taking action either. Okay. So I think a great way to start believing in yourself is by taking action, because by taking action, you start creating results. And when you start creating results, you start believing in yourself. But I think it was just really hard just because I didn't believe in myself. I was depressed. I really didn't want to talk to anyone.
What were some of the things that helped you overcome this? Like, let's talk about that, because here's the thing. I feel that there is no secret formula, right, to success and getting out of depression, getting out of like a funk or a rut that you're in. It's telling people this is what worked for me, and they can copy it, step by step, but it really is your inspiration, your purpose. Like, you had drive. You've always had a drive regardless. You always knew what you wanted. So what were the things that helped you get to that point?
I started surrounding myself with the right people.
Okay.
That was huge. I think it was right around there when I reached out to Albert. And
Is he watching? By the way?
I don't know.
Have you
I don't know if
asked
he is. I didn't tell him. But I think that's when I reached out to Albert and I was like, bro, what's working for you? Because I was struggling. I barely had like one deal in escrow. And I remember he used to post on social media that he had like 10 in escrow. And I was like, wait a minute. Like, I've always been number one, number two with all companies. So I reached out to him and we got together and he told me 3 to 4 very important things. Okay. Number one is you have to start following Grant Cardone, Uncle G. Boom.
I remember.
I did that. Number 2 is you need to stop hanging around with certain friends. Mm-hmm. I did that. Number 3 is as soon as possible, get yourself an assistant. I did all 3.
So it's someone giving you what worked and you actually doing it, right? Because I feel that, I don't know. When I met you, I knew you were a leader. You always had that personality.
I was a stud too.
I know. Let's not get started. That's a whole another episode. Anyway, I think
I was a stud.
Okay, honey. Stay on track. I think, people have a misconception about leadership, and it's not something that you wake up and say, okay, I want to now become a leader. I want to become a businessman. It takes time. What fuels you to have that leadership on a daily basis?
For me right now, it's a few reasons, but something that keeps me on my toes is my responsibility.
Okay.
But that responsibility, it's several things, right? It's where I know we're going, okay, which is probably, I don't want to say it's number 1, but number 2 is, okay, so our future goals and then my responsibility. Mm-hmm. I have a responsibility to everyone in our offices, to the team, whether it's our team that I'm like, man, every 2 weeks, I'm like, man, I got to come through with payroll.
Well, besides responsibility, something has to drive you, right? I don't think responsibility is a drive. Well,
it drives me.
It drives you, yes, but
wakes me up scared every day.
But besides responsibility, there has to be something bigger than responsibility, because we all have responsibilities. Yeah. But some have a bigger one than others.
For me, one of those things is achieving my true potential.
Okay, and you don't think you're there?
No, I'm far from it.
Okay.
And for me, it's very important to say I'm far from it, because the minute I say, man, I'm almost there, that's when I think I start slowing down. I'd rather say I'm at 0. I'd rather say, man, I am struggling. That way, every single day, I just wake up on fire.
Well, to others, others' perception of you is that you're successful, that you've made it, right? For you, define what making it is?
Man, I'll tell you in about 20 years.
No, I want to know now.
All right,
that's a question you have to know.
Yeah. So what is making it? All right.
To you.
To me.
To your standards.
That's a
good question.
That's a great question. That is a great question. So, man, I don't know. It really comes with, I think what drives me right now is really helping people through EMA, through my virtual trainings.
Well, that's what drives you. But my question to you is, you say that you feel you haven't reached that.
Yeah.
Others see you as you're successful, you inspire others, you motivate others. But for you, what is that ultimate where you could say,
if I were to wake up and I knew that I helped millions of people achieve success, achieve happiness, and that we really don't have to work, that would be kind of like making it, right? And that we're healthy and we're happy and we're traveling and we just have tons of money coming in, because money is very important. Money is kind of like a scorecard, right? And it comes with producing results. It comes with busting your ass. Yeah, I want to see endless amounts of money, because that's going to be an indicator that I did something good.
Right. I love that. So let's get to that point. Apúrate.
Hey.
Right?
So
okay, do you have any questions since you're live? Anybody ask you any questions?
Yeah, someone wants to know How can he have his girlfriend stop spending money? Yeah, why don't you answer that question?
Well, I mean, that's a conversation you guys...
Money, by the way, money is meant to be spent, right? Do not hang on to your money.
Well, if he's saying it, it's obviously a problem.
I think he was just joking because it said LOL.
Okay. Well, someone asked, how do you guys find a balance to keep your relationship alive and continue to have that spark? Ooh, that's a good one.
Yeah, I don't believe in balance, by the way. I think balance is not achievable, but you could do your best. And we were just talking about this yesterday. I took my wife to lunch, and I was like, man, we have to make it a point, whether it's dinner, whether it's lunch, whether it's a drink, whatever it is, to spend some one-on-one time together.
Well, I mean, a balance of a spark and relationship. I think a relationship is defined by your foundation, right? Like, we love each other. That's our foundation, right? Like, that's solid. Knowing that we're solid, everything else is extra. Yes, we have to make time to go out, have dates, have like our little secret rendezvous, and
get drunk.
Go for the weekend. But, we have a huge responsibility, as in what we do every day with our kids and,
with our team as well.
With our team, and we are parents. That's our priority. We do have dates. We obviously love each other. We know, I know there's days where I don't talk to him all day, or I'm like, hello, are you alive? That's my text to him because he hasn't not checked in, but just some form of communication. But I understand. It's us understanding, we can't say, well, you haven't spent time with me. We're beyond that.
Wait, say that one more time.
Be quiet. We're definitely beyond that. We went to lunch yesterday. That's good enough for another week.
Okay, awesome.
I think that matters, and every relationship is different. I think it's knowing who you are together, right? I don't think I'm very, or I'm not, no soy exigente when it comes to your time with me.
Say that one more time.
Kids, stop.
You're getting better.
This is my podcast.
You're getting better.
I ask the questions. Just kidding. No, I really am not exigente. I don't ask you for much.
No.
Right?
You're good.
Be honest.
You are good.
See, I'm good.
Yeah. Someone wants to know, when did you know you had made it? Man, I'll be honest, Maria. I don't think we made it. I mean, we are doing well financially. We have, I think 10 different streams of income. We're doing good, but we're on our way up. We are on our way up. I'll tell you in about 10 years what it looks like when you make it, because right now we're on our way up.
So someone asked, how do you handle all your daily tasks while being a mother, wife, and boss babe? Well, thank you. I truly am a believer that there is a balance. It's what you put into it. That's my perspective. Some people can definitely argue with that. For example, I have a to-do list, whether it's with the kids with school. Of course, there's some things I don't remember. I have Emily to help me, or my husband reminds me. But my role is, to be a mom. I take my kids to school, I feed them. That is just innate. It's something I can't forget, right? As a wife, of course, I'm my husband's wife every day. I can't forget I'm his wife. But it's really the work that you're putting in at the time that you're putting in it, right? Like right now I'm here. I'm working on myself, on my goals, because the podcast was one of my goals. I'm spending time with my husband at the same time. I got work done this morning here at the office. I took the kids to school. I made them breakfast. So it really is, how bad do you want it? And how bad do you want to be a good mom, a good wife, and a good boss? I really, truly do feel that it's also the quality that you give when you're doing that job. So I hope that answers your question.
And everyone's going to be different.
Yes.
Right? Because my way of balancing
is different.
Could be going home and spending 2 hours with my kids. Yeah. To me, I'm like, man, 2 hours. And I feel
that's enough for the week.
I feel amazing, but it's crazy. But I went, can I talk about something real quick? My weekend in Vegas.
Oh, yeah, go for it.
All right. So I went to a workshop in Vegas with.
Are we still in my podcast or you're live?
I went to a workshop in Vegas with Bradley's company. And my biggest takeaway, it wasn't really like the business part because, yeah, it was amazing. But what I walked away from there was being a better parent, being a better husband. And one thing I realized is that time is limited. So, and I talk about this all the time, but it's like, a work in progress, is when you're at work, you have to be focused on work and 100%. When you're at home, you have to be at home. So what I started doing when I came back from Vegas was spending more time. I've been giving my son, I feel, more time than my daughter. I think ever since he was born, he's just, seriously, he needs so much attention.
He's the baby.
Yeah. So what I started doing was I started shifting some of my attention away from him to my daughter, and it's incredible how
she's 12 now. How
a few days of giving her more time has brought us closer together. And this is only day, what's today, Wednesday?
4.
Okay, 4 days. So that's my goal, is not only I want to be a great businessman, I want to be known as that person to change people's lives, but I also want to be known as that father that was involved with his kids and that their lives are changed as well, because I think I do it for so many people, but then when I get home, I'm already kind of burned out. So
you're out of battery.
So they don't get the best of me. But that's my goal right now, is to be a better father and husband. You guys are going to see it.
I mean, you guys heard it live. I think also balance comes with who you are, right, as a person. I'm the type of mom, I can go to bed at 3 a.m. decorating for their birthday and get up at 6 a.m. That's just me, right? I just have to get it done. It's who you are and knowing what you're capable of and what you're willing to do. There's times that I've stayed here at 10, 11 o'clock at night because I wasn't able to come in during the week, or this past year was crazy. I was going seriously insane stress because I wanted to be here, and of course I wanted to be with my kids. So I love doing it all. So it's figuring out what works best for you. But I did want to go back to when you get to the point that you have it all and you feel you've made it. I think, with having a family, we don't want our kids to say, they were always working, they were never home, but we could give them everything. I think in that there has to be a balance. And I think we're doing a pretty good job. We could do better, but we do have the balance. It's either you or me, right? We've talked about it. We are at the point in our life where we both don't want to be gone. I could have gone with him to Vegas, but we made the decision I was going to stay home with the kids, and it works for us, right? Of course he'd want me there. Of course I'd want to support him. Our calendar is so full that we need to make sacrifices, but our priority is our kids. And we're at that point in our life where we can make that choice, right?
Yeah, it's all about choices and priorities.
Yeah. Okay, do you have some more questions? Because I have another question.
Yeah, absolutely. What was it that, what triggered in you to believe that I had this?
That's your question to me?
Mm-hmm.
I love that question because a lot of people have asked me. I think, when I met you, you had this thing about you, and I was and that was an attraction. You just seemed so...
Was it my sexy abs? No.
No, your shoulders. To me, I was what is it about him? You were never mad. You were never, you were always on time. It was about work. I was wow, he's weird. I thought you were a little weird because of that. And I thought, what does he have? What is it?
You had never met a real man.
I know. Okay, can we do something with that? No, you should have done the other one. Oh,
that one's good. I like it.
Oh my goodness. Anyway. No, I really loved your energy, your positivity, and you carried leadership without a flaw. And that was really what attracted me to you. I think when, fast forward to okay, we now have a child, the market crashed. That was insane. I was disillusioned in the fact, like, well, what happened to him? What happened to that Willy that I met? So it was really hard for me to accept. You know, I would cry all the time. I know we had problems. We separated for a long time, but I always knew I loved you. And like that didn't change that. But what helped me continue to believe in you, it's like, okay, what happens in marriages that have such a longevity? What is it? Because there's obviously problems. Nothing's perfect. You know, a spark here, a spark there. Things change. But I kept thinking, I want that. And how can we keep that? Like, what's going to keep that together? It's commitment. It's knowing that there's love. And it's supporting your spouse, whether they fall or they're up, right? And I just loved you. And I think that was the most important thing that made me continue to believe in you and giving you that chance. I just didn't want to end our relationship based on what you weren't doing financially.
Awesome.
That's it. Awesome. I get awesome after all that. Oh my goodness. Can we do the other thing? Wow.
Oh my God. I'm going to take away those buttons, Emily.
Let's get a better answer than that.
All right. So here's another question for you.
No. Can you say something nicer?
Yeah. So I do believe that.
You're supposed to be, oh, honey, really?
I do believe that you do need to support your spouse through thick and thin. And you have to show it too. All right, you have to show it. Because one thing is to support...
I'm going to spit out my water right now.
One thing is to support your spouse, and one thing is to tell them
and to show it.
things that they need to hear. You got better at that.
I did, yes.
Yeah, because in the beginning, I didn't hear that.
No.
It was all the bad stuff.
Yes.
It was all the bad stuff.
It was all the bad stuff because I didn't understand where you were. You never explained it to me, right? And I think it's not in I don't want to say in a woman's nature, but as the woman I was, when you met me, I was trabajadora, chingona, whatever you want to call it. I knew how to work. So having that expectation from you was really hard. That took over any love, any like, let me support you. Let me tell you it's going to be okay. I was beyond that because I couldn't understand, well, why can't he just get a damn job? So we were in two different pages. My expectations were this based on what I knew, who you were. So it's hard. It's like lost in translation. I think that's why I think communication is very important now. I mean, we can't go back and change that.
Yeah, I think when you're going through struggles financially too, man, it's so hard to be optimistic.
Very.
It's really, really hard. So I can understand how us being broke and going through, man, so many things financially. I mean, I'm like, why would you, right? It's like, man, like, all right, stop talking about it and show me the money.
Para nada. I'm just kidding. I mean, I think in any marriage, I think it should be important that there is going to be struggles, but the other partner or whichever partner is going through a personal struggle, they need to communicate that to the other partner. Like from you were like night and day. And that was really, really hard. And you weren't communicating like, I'm going through this. I mean, obviously having my...
I still don't communicate now.
Oh, Dios mío.
I'm a little better.
I think I would have been more nurturing and more understanding if you would have opened up. But we're beyond that, right?
Yeah. I hope so.
So, do you feel proud that we're here now together and we can talk about this?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. I mean, I think that's what life is all about, right? Life is all about struggles. Right. But it's all about what you're doing with the struggles too.
Right.
Because there's people that go through struggles and what they do is they just be like, man, well, that's life, right? Got to go through struggles. No, like you have to be in charge too. Like I don't believe in excuses. I believe that we are where we are today because of our choices. Someone going through struggles, I want to say, a good 95%. There's people like throughout the world, they really don't have a choice. But let's just talk about people in the U.S. Most people that are going through struggles, let's say here in the U.S., it's because of the choices they've made.
That's true. So here's my other question. What does marriage mean to you?
Wow. That's a deep question.
I know, honey. We're here. You are on my podcast, on my timeline right now. And that's my question.
All right. What does marriage mean to me? You've never asked me that question. Why you got to put me on the spot?
Hey, we got to do this.
All right. What does marriage mean to me? Other than the man.
No de cocinar ni de planchar, none of that.
Pues ya tú sabes, my tools are in the garage. I think what a marriage is to me is sharing your life with someone that you can have fun with, someone that you can be joyful with, someone that you can count on, someone that can listen to you, someone that can cheer you on, someone that is not only going to be there for the good times, but for the bad times, and someone that can be a partner. Because it's one thing for, let's say, one partner to say, all right, well, man, you go out and do it, right? I believe in it. No. Like you have to be side by side. That's what it is.
Okay. So I'm assuming I check all those off. And the cocinando is a plus.
The cocinando is a plus.
No, that was a non-negotiable, actually. You told me.
Yeah, I am old school, guys.
He said I had to cook.
If my wife would have told me I don't know how to cook, I bet, bye. But no, that's kind of how she actually landed me.
I landed him. Wow.
Because
do the wah thing. Híjola.
All right, so here's the truth. Before I met Christine, I was single. I was dating a lot of women.
In other words, mujeriego.
I was a mujeriego, big time. All right.
I know.
And not one person would ever say, "Can I cook you some dinner?"
She wasn't the one.
Right? They would just, they just wanted to date me, and that was it.
They just saw dollar signs.
They did. And you were the first one that came over and said, "I'm going to cook you some taquitos."
It was the taquitos.
She made me some taquitos. They had like the perfect crisp. I remember that. I remember biting into one. I was like, damn, girl. I gotta marry this one.
Oh, I know. And then you dumped me after that.
I did dump her after that. I wasn't ready to like settle down. And yeah, I wasn't at a point in my life where I wanted to be with one woman.
Sounds funny hearing it from you right now, but yeah, okay.
Yeah.
See if you have any questions. Ándale, mujeriego.
No, I think we don't. I think we're good. Yeah, no questions. Los taquitos is the secret, man. Let me tell you, los taquitos.
Oh my God, that is hilarious.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm old school. Like, just like I believe a man needs to provide, a man is the hunter. I believe a woman needs to also know how to cook.
Okay, so let's talk about old school. What makes someone old school? I don't think it's your age. It has nothing to do with age.
I think it has to do with just growing up.
Mm-hmm.
Growing up, my upbringing. Like the years that I spent in Guatemala were like huge for me because I lived with aunts and uncles, and it was very, very old school.
Traditional.
Very traditional. I'm talking about like in the morning, the wife would cook breakfast. I'm talking about like a full-on breakfast before you went to school.
Damn.
The husband would work. You get to the house in the afternoon. The wife is cooking along with the what do you call them? Like the sirvientas, the helpers. A fresh meal like every day. I'm talking about fresh, not like something that was in the fridge. I'm talking about they walked to the market.
Iban a matar las vacas.
Yeah, it was like straight out like that. Dinner, same thing.
Okay,
like,
did you have goat milk or like milk?
No, none of that. But yeah, I mean that was a very influential period in my life, and that's why sometimes maybe you're like, why does he want me to like cook all the time? To me,
I don't mind it. Actually, I enjoy cooking.
Can I have a fresh meal every single morning?
Oh, well, the morning we'll work on that. The weekends, yes. But
See, to me, what I learned from that in a way might not be the right thing, but that was a form of love. So that's why I'm always like, anyways. Yeah. But a fresh meal 3 times a day, man, I would love you so much more.
Really? That's all it would take. Wait, I don't.
Yes.
You're not home 3 times a day.
I'll be home 3 times a day.
Really? You'll come home for lunch?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, pues. Tomorrow we have a date.
All right. Make it happen.
Breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Yeah. I want a caldo de res.
Okay, it's done. Wow. I mean, I like that about you. I don't think I would have chosen you if you weren't old-fashioned. I like that chivalry, that old-fashioned. I like a little bit of machismo to an extent.
I have some machismo in me. And I don't think, I think it has to do with being a man too.
Yeah, right.
Right? Like if you wanted someone that was like too sensitive, that could pay attention to like all of the details and would, think about you all day and send you 10 messages a day, you wouldn't need a man, you would need a woman.
Oh my God, honey. Yeah. There is that emotional guy though, by the way.
I don't know.
Not you, but yeah.
Yeah, it's not me. It's not me.
But so here's another question for you.
I'm working on it.
How, do you have a question?
No.
How would you handle if, say, next week I said, you know what, honey, I don't want to come in anymore. I just want to focus on being a housewife, being able to cook you 3 meals a day, and I just want to be a stay-at-home mom.
Let's do it.
You would be fine with it?
Yeah, I would just have to hire someone that could help me with all of your stuff. But I would be upset, of course, because you help me with a lot of the things here. It would be hard.
This is when you say you are vital.
You are vital
to this position.
Hey, Emily, can you put an ad on Indeed that we're hiring?
No.
Okay, so let's one more question, and then we can move on. I think as a couple, right? People talk about power couple, or wanting to be like other people. What is your take on that? Because my personal opinion is we can aspire to be like others, right? And we can inspire and motivate others. What do you think makes that couple?
So when I hear power couple, like people say that about us, I mean, I appreciate it, but I some people associate it with money, some people like with success. The way I like to see it is the amount of people that we're helping.
Okay, that's what.
Yeah, I don't think you can be successful without helping people. You could be financially free, you could be rich and all that good stuff, but as far as success, I think success comes with helping people.
I agree. I think what I foresee in the future for us is, doing more philanthropy work, having our own, not just a nonprofit, but
we got to do that right away. Seriously,
own foundation. I think we both come from a background where we just want to give and help others, and I think that's what makes us a little different, right? We're not just about the drive, just about becoming successful, but we also want to give to others, and I think that's what separates us.
Yeah, we love seeing people like succeed. We love people like being happy. We love people seeing, when they go through, whether it's EMA, whether it's Gracefully Fierce, people just say, man, I believe in myself now, or I feel better about this, or man, I'm not going to make any excuses anymore, right?
Well, I think that's where true leadership and true success comes in, is in how much you're willing to give it to others and share it, right? Because a lot of power couples, if you will, or people that are, successful, they don't care what's out there. They just keep going. And I think that's what sets us apart, is that we are selfless when it comes to that.
Yeah, absolutely. Like we have financial goals, but I can tell you this: if I was 65 right now and we just decided to make our life about helping people, but we were still good financially, not like super rich, but if we had like enough, like, man, we're going to be good for the rest of our lives, I would be complete.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, of course, millions in the bank, who's going to say no to that? But I believe if your mission is to help people, and as a result, you make some money from it, right? Like, you have to value your time. Nothing wrong with that either.
Okay. So here's a question that I've always wanted to ask you.
Oh, shit.
What legacy do you want to leave behind? In other words, what do you want people to know? Who was Willy Escobar?
Willy Escobar was someone that helped people.
Wow, that was, you didn't even have to think about it.
Willy Escobar was someone that helped people with their mindset, with their belief system, with their limited beliefs. And more than anything, I think I help a lot of people like in business. But not only that, like I want to say a good maybe 25 to 50% of my time is actually doing things for people without even charging. So I like to give my time away to the right people, of course. But yeah, if I could look for, in the future, man, Willy was someone that just helped people, whether it was business, personal, in the relationships, financially. It just helped in general.
Wow. So besides that, you leaving that legacy behind, what do you want your children to remember you by?
The time that I spent with them. Not only that, but we have a responsibility as well to help our kids become something. Okay, like I truly believe that, yes, we need to spend time with them, but at the same time, I want them to grow up and say, man, all those lessons I learned from my dad, all that time that he was a little bit hard on me, now I get it. I don't want to be known as that dad was like kind of soft and we didn't learn anything. No. No one has ever thanked that parent that was really nice. Right. I believe that the parents that get thanked are the ones that say, the kids, man, my dad, my mom really made an impact on my life. They were a little tough on me, but I get it now. I don't want to be that soft parent. I mean, I do believe in being loving and being there for them, but I really think it's our responsibility to help them have a winner mentality as well.
I love it. I love that. I agree. Do you think you would be a different father and husband if you would have been raised by your dad?
Nope.
Honey, those are like, boom, questions like you didn't even...
No, my dad, and I know he's not watching, but my dad was a total softie. I mean, there was no way I would be the man who I am today if my mom and dad would have stayed together. There's no way.
Really?
Yeah. My mom was everything. My dad was, what's the word I'm looking for in Spanish?
Mandilon?
Yep.
So you feel you...
Can I have some more water, Emily? Sorry.
So do you feel there's nothing...
And this one is fine.
You're missing based on that absent relationship?
I would say, yeah. I would say growing up, it was tough, right? It was tough because I would be at baseball games, basketball games. It was just my mom. Some kids would tease me like, hey, where's your dad? You don't have one. But yeah, I would say even maybe my way of being a gentleman with you, or maybe being a better dad to my kids, I didn't see that growing up. I didn't know what it was to be a dad. Like sometimes, like I learned something from my uncles. Okay, maybe that's what it means to be a dad, or maybe you see it on TV. Okay, maybe that's what it means to be a dad. But everything I learned has pretty much been on my own.
Well, I ask you that because a lot of men that become fathers.
Mm-hmm. I was not ready to be a father.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, who is, right?
But listen, a lot of men use that as an excuse of not having a father figure as to what type of father they are.
Yeah.
What makes you want to be, and what makes you a good father? Because it obviously doesn't faze you that you didn't.
I don't know.
That's my perception.
I think because of the trainings that I went through, somehow I got this, I want to say maybe like a warrior mentality, that I just cannot have any excuses. I can take responsibility. That's number one. I will never say, man, I'm not, this kind of father, this kind of husband because my dad. No, I take responsibility. I own it, and I just need to get better at it.
Okay. What advice would you give to our audience?
Hey, you're good, honey. You're good.
Thank you. I'm a natural.
My wife is good, huh?
What advice would you give to our audience about that, right? Because a lot of people use their upbringing, use things that they've gone through as an excuse where, you're a representation that, no, you have a choice, right? I'm a representation of that as well. Mm-hmm. What is it? Because you can have 5 siblings in one household. Some are more susceptible to things or others, right? Of becoming things or not becoming. Because what do you have? What do I have within us that isn't defined? Our background is not defining us.
Absolutely. I mean, it kind of shapes you who you are. I'm not going to lie. Right. However, this is the way I see it. Are you ready for this one, Emily? Okay, get ready to push a button. The minute you make an excuse about who you are because of what you've been through in life, that's the minute you are not able to grow. Yes, so the way I see it is, all right, so my dad wasn't around and then I moved to Guatemala for 3 years, lived with 3 different family members. I could talk about all that. I was in 10 different schools by the time I was in high school, got in all kinds of fights. But I really don't even bring that up. I do bring that up just kind of like to serve maybe as inspiration to people that it doesn't matter if your dad wasn't around, you moved around a whole bunch. Like that just gives you like ammunition to become a better person.
Right. But there's something in you that could take that into power, right? Because I'm a true believer that things shape you, right? This is part of your personality. This is part of just what you're made of. Like how I always tell you, how come it's just, this is what you're made. This is how you're built. Like this is Willy. I don't believe that people can change. I believe people can make choices, right?
Correct.
Like you, of course, moved around. You were in a different country. You didn't have the father figure. You were raised by your mom. All of those things affect you some way, somehow. But now with the knowledge that you have, with trainings that you've done, now you have, you use that as power to make better decisions and to make a difference, right? Where someone else can have gone through all of that and not make that decision and not use it into power. What makes that difference?
I think sometimes people don't know that they're making excuses. I would like to say the majority of people think just because they've gone through something, man, it's who I am now, right? Like, I think that when we become aware that something didn't serve us in our past, that's when we grow, right? That's when we embrace it. We're like, oh shit, maybe because my dad wasn't around, maybe that's why I'm not a good father. All right, well, time to become a better father. We just need to be aware of what's not working, and that's going to allow us to improve.
I love that. So you guys have listened from the infamous, the one and only Mr. Willy Escobar.
Infamous.
I'm just kidding.
Any questions, guys, here on my life?
From the one and only Willy Escobar, just on leadership, having a partnership with your wife, not just in life, but in business and what that entails. How to support your spouse. What to look at, how to communicate, because if you want them to come on board, they've got to buy into it. So what are you selling, right? You've got to sell something. You've got to sell a result, or that's what it meant for me. So definitely try it out. So husband, Mr. Willy Escobar, give a sentence, a word, something to leave our audience with to say, wow, that's powerful. And where can they follow you?
Man, just be aware of your excuses.
Okay.
Yeah, it's so huge. Like, I do not make any excuses. Well, I'll take that back. Yeah, when I'm human, right? I'll make up an excuse, but I like to catch myself. They can follow me at the Willy Escobar.
Follow him if you guys want to definitely be inspired when it comes to business, being successful, having leadership, you name it. Follow at the Willy Escobar. And he is my husband. I'm very proud to be your wife.
Thank you, my love. Love you so much.
So I'm Mrs. Escobar. Don't you forget that. So thank you guys for tuning in. Again, this podcast episode was about leadership and partnership with your husband or wife. Follow us on Instagram on Gracefully Fierce or the Willy Escobar. And thank you so much for tuning in. And please message us if you guys have any questions or new podcast ideas. Thank you.